Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Pile It On, an NFL podcast brought to you by the Props Network. I am one of your hosts, Steve Clark, and on the screen with me is my friend
your other
Joel.
host.
Yeah.
I am not named Steve Clark. I am Joel Walkowski. Happy to be half of the fabulous football boys with my old basketball rival, Steve Clark. You feeling good, Steve?
I feel good, but I miss the feel of the hardwood beneath my toes. Beneath my bare toes.
Absolutely. There was like that old Antoine Walker commercial back in the day where it's like, I could play in bare feet if I had to. And now, hindsight being 2020, Antoine Walker would probably play in bare feet because he's too lazy to put on shoes. The poster child for athletes going broke. Props to Antoine. Have you ever busted out the Antoine Walker like jiggle shuffle during a game?
No, I don't have the confidence to do that.
You should. You have kind of an Antoine Walker game, though.
Yeah, it's true. But before that shoots a lot, that plays.
We got to work on it. We get use this time. I know you can't exercise because you're still in New York. You're not a cowardly deserter like me, leaving my home of New York City and running to the desert to just train. I think I am. I'm taking this moment to declare myself draft eligible.
Yeah,
6'3", 220, a tight end receiver like hybrid. I haven't played football at any organized level. However, I tried out at USC 15 years ago and made first cut. So
are you serious?
We're looking. I did.
What position did you go out for?
Tight end, but that was just a height thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh, he's 6'3". Let's make him catch some passes from Sanchez, and that was hard to do. Like, dang, they had some mustard on him. I could not believe it, but I did catch one, so
that's kind of cool.
That is my great. But you know, the point of this is not to win football games. So draft me, because we know the best thing, the most noble thing an NFL franchise can do in our current society is to lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's so our first news story you found, which is fascinating. The 49ers losing the Super Bowl potentially could have saved thousands of lives.
Yeah, because if you think about the timing of the Super Bowl, I think it was February 3rd, and coronavirus was supposedly in the Bay Area by January 31st. And the logic here is that not having a gathering of millions of people stop the spread, in that the 49ers losing Super Bowl, like this comes directly from the virologist, is the best thing that could have happened to San Francisco.
It makes sense though. That parade would have been in the, 5 figures, possibly 6 figures of people lining the streets in close quarters. Like,
I think a Super Bowl parade gets 1 million easy.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm from Detroit, and we got 1 million for a hockey parade 20 years ago. Like San Francisco, I know they're all techie transplants who are against contact sports, but you got to think people are going to take over the bridge from the East Bay. Vallejo will be in the house, getting the coronavirus, going back to the bankrupt town. It'll be a beautiful sight that thankfully we never saw.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster.
And this is going to be such an interesting, like, we're watching a legend get built in real time. So how many legends of any sports are like, yeah, they were so good, they saved lives?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes can add that to his Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Michael Vick being in the Hall of Fame last week. Mahomes, just for 2 years, put him in there. It's fine.
Yeah, he saved potentially 10,000 lives.
Yeah, and like, oh, the 49ers, they're losing the Super Bowl is good for their fans. And actually, as a Lions fan, them being the Lions is good for our fans because Detroit is so affected by coronavirus, and having cheered for the Lions for so long, they welcome the sweet release of death.
That can't be true.
No, there's probably a dozen videos taken at a dozen different times of me just like staring off into space saying, I wish I was dead after a Lions game. My girlfriend got some good footage after the Trey Flowers hands to the face Monday night game. I will never be the same.
Oh, it's brutal. I saw an interesting stat on the Lions. We've already kind of talked about this, but if all the games this year ended after the third quarter, they would have been 10-6 and made the playoffs.
That's a playoff berth, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but we also talked about there's a hard and fast reason for this is that you can't play man-to-man for an entire
Right.
game.
Right.
Matt Patricia, no ability to adjust his game plan in-game. Our defensive coordinator was 76 years old, which, if you are old enough to run for president, you're not old enough to run my defense. That's my policy. Coaches, I'd rather be in closer to 30. If I can't have that in my representatives, can I at least have it in my defensive coordinators?
It's a great time right now to be a 75-year-old white guy.
Absolutely. It's the greatest. I went back and I watched the Lions' only postseason victory, the 1991 divisional playoff game. And their offensive coordinator, I believe, was 90 years old. Like, he was decaying on the field. When they showed him, I couldn't believe it. In that entire game, they won, but they didn't Barry Sanders got 6 total carries. They took the ball out of his hands.
Wow.
And
were you old enough to appreciate that game when it happened? Or you lived your entire life without seeing the Lions play a playoff game for real?
I've seen them play playoff games. I've never seen them win a playoff game. I've seen losses in 94, 95, 97, 2000, 2011,
oh my God.
2014, and 17.
Wow. That's encyclopedic that you know that.
Yeah, but the 2014 one doesn't count. We beat Dallas. I've never seen a pass interference flag picked up after it was announced to the crowd. Des Bryant went on the field.
Oh, that was that game?
That's 15 yards there. And, yeah, we missed that third down. We didn't go for it on fourth. Sam Martin, who we recently let go to Denver, shanked the punt, and the rest played out exactly how the NFL wants it to play out. Sorry, I'm
you're not bitter.
Pent up. I'm really venting. People are listening to this like NFL podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, I know not a lot's going on, but he's really talking about the '91 postseason." Yes, I am. I did, and I never talk about it. I was so mad last week. We had a really fun Michael Vick conversation.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss not to mention Michael Vick is responsible for my greatest gambling victory ever.
That's what was that?
So I don't know if you remember, he had that year he took over for Philadelphia mid-season. Was incredible.
Yeah.
He kind of earned this ESPN cover story, What If Michael Vick Was White, which is a great story. And he had so much preseason hype. My roommate bet me before the season that Michael Vick would win the Super Bowl MVP award.
What? Not just the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl MVP award?
Not the Super Bowl, not the regular season. I was Super Bowl MVP. He had Michael Vick. I was given the field.
Wow. So he didn't even take any odds on it or anything? It was just a straight up if he wins Super Bowl MVP, you owe me $10. If he doesn't, I owe you $10.
Yeah, it was $20, and he was someone who was really steadfast in belief. Michael Vick was going to be Super Bowl MVP. The moon was a spaceship, and
that's sick. That's the kind of guy you want to gamble with all the time.
100%. Shouts to Ed Dominguez, very funny comedian who quit.
And we all should. Let's get into the NFL news a little bit. There's some stuff that happened this week, despite the fact that you wouldn't think anything would be happening. One of the bigger stories, Christian McCaffrey became the highest paid running back in the history of the NFL. He signed a 4-year extension, averaging $16 million per year. Huge.
And a lot of that money is guaranteed too. Yeah. So I think we've been banging this drum since we started recording together, and this tells me the Panthers are in win now mode.
Yeah. But it's a weird win now mode where you wouldn't expect them to be in it, considering they just released a former MVP quarterback and brought in a quarterback with a lot of question marks. And they're projected to only win 6 games this year. So it's they have high hopes for themselves, which they should, obviously. But do you actually think they're in win now mode in the way that they will actually win?
Yeah, I think the McCaffrey signing and locking him up as the cornerstone of their franchise, that solidifies the Panthers as the Moneyball NFL team to me. So look at their division. You've got you know, Tom Brady, big receivers in Tampa. You've got this amazing New Orleans Saints roster. You've got a pretty talented, at least Atlanta Falcons offense. But by just running everything through Christian McCaffrey and the conservative play of Teddy Bridgewater, I think they're going to be looking at a lot of third and shorts. And if you're able to do that, you're in a position to win football games.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting to 3rd and 2, 2nd and 3, because like Christian McCaffrey, yes, he makes plays, but also, is there anyone so good at picking up 6-7 yards in the passing game?
No, he's the most dynamic weapon in the NFL right now. But that being said, I would just ask everyone who's a Panthers fan or who thinks this is a great signing to look back to 2 or 3 years ago when Todd Gurley was the most dynamic running back in the NFL. And he got a similar contract of $15 million a year for 4 years. And we just released him a few weeks ago.
But we knew about those Todd Gurley injury issues when he was drafted out of Georgia.
Yeah.
And I know Christian McCaffrey is like always the most money for a running back. And like, is he really a running back in the traditional sense?
That's
like,
true.
He's just an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
He's earmarked to get the ball in a lot of ways. And like him getting a carry and going between the tackles, that's not the signature of his game at all.
Right. That is true. I mean, I don't hate the move. I think they need him, especially with Teddy coming in. It's a good weapon for Teddy, considering Teddy's kind of tool belt of where he throws the ball, which is a lot of short, intermediate passes.
Yeah, we went over the great speed of the receiving core a few weeks ago, and like I see these weapons making sense together.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be able to protect. They probably won't need to protect like some other teams because I think it's going to be a lot of shorter timing-based routes.
Yeah.
But I'm becoming bullish on the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
I dare say they are the Los Angeles Chargers of the NFC.
What an honor to have.
Yeah, very high praise.
How about this news from the Rams? We did something good, I think. They traded Brandon Cooks and a 2022 4th-round pick to the Texans for a 2nd-round pick, a late second, but still a second. And I like this.
That's a great deal because, the Rams, they've mismanaged their salary cap situation.
Oh, yeah, bad.
And I guess the hope is that the innovative offense will be there no matter what because of McVay.
Right.
And you just have to put your resources behind Ramsey and Donald.
Yeah. And then Kupp probably next year or the year after.
Kupp, Robert Woods is still around, correct?
Yep.
And then they've got those 2 really nice tight ends.
Higbee and Everett.
And Reynolds.
Yeah. And then Reynolds is good. Yeah,
and they've made plays whenever I turn it on. And, like, Brandon Cooks, it's so funny, like, how certain players, their career just takes on a narrative.
It's nuts, yeah.
So he's the guy who gets traded. So
over and over.
In NFL history, wide receivers have only been traded for 1st-round picks 9 times. 2 of them are Brandon Cooks.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And
he's 26 years old.
Yeah, and hopefully he busts out, and then there's no way Bill O'Brien is getting a 1st-round pick.
No, he'll trade him for a 5th.
Yeah, that's the only reason. And I did think like there are injury concerns about Brandon Cooks, and like I found this site sportsinjurypredictor.com.
Yeah, I looked at that. That's crazy.
So they give you a percentage, a chance of injury in 2020, and for Cooks, it's 40% that he gets injured,
which apparently is low.
It is pretty low. He's only got a 3% injury risk, and I know I know Bill Simmons, who is not a doctor and not really a football analyst. He said if he was Brandon Cooks, he'd retire, but he has had 2 severe concussions.
Yeah, and the biggest one came in the Super Bowl. So, he is at risk of concussions being a problem for him. Like if he gets another one, I could see him missing, 8 games or something like that. But otherwise, he hasn't gotten hurt that much.
He's the reverse Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald plays the prime of his career with Max Skelton, Matt Leinart, and then Brandon Cooks' entire career has been Yeah, I'm going to go from Drew Brees to Tom Brady to the Rams offense to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Not a bad place to be in at all.
No, not at all. I'm excited for him. I think he'll do well in Houston. He'll fill a big hole there. So they need him. But it's just so funny that they traded away DeAndre Hopkins, brought in Brandon Cooks, who doesn't have a great contract either. Like, obviously, Hopkins wanted more than what Cooks is going to get paid, but Cooks is going to make a lot of money in the next 4 years.
Yeah, and they're giving a lot of money to their receivers already. I know football people love Will Fuller for Houston, but
Yeah.
I kind of think all the receivers have about the same skill set. So
Mhm.
I don't know what those route trees are going to look like. I
Yeah.
feel like might be doing some favors to their opposing defensive coordinators when lining up coverage. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see it, but I think that division is kind of whack. So
Yeah.
I'm still siding with the Texans there.
Yeah. Big news this week that I was very sad about. The XFL suspended all operations. They laid off most of their staff. I think they actually filed for bankruptcy yesterday. They are not anticipating another season happening next year. Super sad stuff, especially considering this was the league that had the funding to really make it. Obviously, no one could have foreseen this virus happening. And it makes sense that they would have ended the season. But to declare bankruptcy and kind of like put the XFL to the side so quickly, I thought was really shocking. And it sucks.
And can we and I know a lot of people, they have nostalgia for the XFL. I'm not one of them. I think it's a mediocre product from our childhood, and it became a mediocre product from our adults. I went to a game. It was great, but I was not a fan. I do not approve of the XFL. But
Don't approve of it.
I don't approve of it.
Okay.
We don't need this. Like, it's always the worst person in your Facebook feed is getting excited about the XFL. Like, the person I wouldn't trust around my sister is getting excited about the XFL. The comic I know who doesn't own a sleeved shirt is excited about the XFL. I'm talking about Matt Maron from Comedy Fight Club. But, a lot of people are mourning this, but I think this is really just the latest link in a chain of really shady business dealings by the WWE.
Yeah, they've been weird recently.
So the WWE, they made some headlines. They insisted on hosting WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. They had Gronk host, and I'll plug it again. Watch him reading off a teleprompter. It's great. And they did that. One of their on-air talent contracted coronavirus.
Yeah.
And in response to that, they got named an essential business, and they're eligible to keep their doors open in Florida. And of course, everyone's talking about this, but they don't realize that Linda McMahon is a Trump appointment. They've been working with Trump for a long time, and they're seeing those dividends. And just that's outside of this bankruptcy. So WWE, it's a rich company with worldwide popularity. No sports league has the market shares they have in India, in the Middle East, and they are flush from this, even with their live event money being taken in. This is just a pretty unethical play, I see, of not paying their vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And so this gets them out of paying their coaches. Bob Stokes doesn't get paid. Mark Trestman doesn't get paid. Ticketmaster doesn't get paid, which is great. And then their MetLife Stadium lease doesn't get paid.
Holy crap.
So I don't think this is the end of the XFL. This is just them trying to save about $10 million by my calculations.
That's the worst. So is it another situation where the players get paid through the end of the year, though? I thought that was part of what they said.
Players get paid, but coaches who've actually been working for the league for about 3 years now, because this league was formulated on the basis of coach-quarterback relationships. Like right. Cardale Jones was working with the Washington coach for a couple of years, and these guys really staked their reputation to launch this league, and to see them left in the wind like this,
that sucks,
is pretty embarrassing. Like, you're going to bring in a legendary coach like Bob Stoops, and you're going to leave him high and dry like this? Like, I think this shutters the doors on the league just in terms of how they've treated their talent.
Right.
Yeah. And, you want to feel good about how the NFL treats their ex-players. Pay attention to how the
Any other
WWE
league
treats their talent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a bummer. I was a big St. Louis Battlehawks fan. I have a Battlehawks t-shirt, so that'll be cool when I wear that.
That'll be a collector's item, actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
And,
Lawrence Tynes tweet. You found this tweet.
yeah, kickers are the funniest.
He tweeted, "The NFL is seeking advice from the Dolphins, Bucks, Jags, Bengals, and Chargers in their study on possibly playing in empty stadiums this season." Damn, Lawrence.
Yeah,
Sick.
and I saw that so many times before realizing it was a joke. Like I thought
like,
it
oh
was
yeah,
real.
that sounds right.
I just thought Lawrence Tynes was a reporter. So between him, Pat McAfee,
Yep.
if you kick the ball in the NFL, you're the most entertaining guy on the field.
Yeah,
These guys are
like
charismatic. They have writing skills. So Lawrence Tynes, I love your roast joke. If anyone here knows me, they know I'm one of the great roast battlers of all time. So if you ever want to come to New York, back when we're up and running, we can have it out. We'll put it live on the Props Network. You and me, Lawrence.
Wow.
Mano a mano.
Wow. That would grab us a huge audience.
Yeah, kicker roast battle.
Lawrence Tynes is like kind of a big name in New York, though. He won the Super Bowl with the Giants, right?
He did win the Super Bowl with the Giants, and he had a long career. Kickers, they play forever.
It's great.
And
that should have done it.
Yeah, that's why we're going to raise our children to be kickers.
Yeah.
Jake Head, friend of the show, my basketball soulmate, he announced that he's having a boy, and like, I'm in his ear already. It's like, you got to have him be a kicker. Have him do what 52-yard Steve couldn't do.
Yeah. Just have him play soccer the first 15 years of his career, and then when he gets to high school, jump on that football team.
How do you feel about 52-yard Steve as a show moniker?
I don't like it. I would like it if I could prove it. Next time, whenever this all clears up, I'll video myself trying to kick a ball from 52. I probably can't do it anymore, but I could probably hit from 45 to 50.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That still feels, I don't know. We'll see. I'll try it. Next time I'm down in Florida where there are fields I can kick on, I'll do it.
Yeah, you couldn't get like, they have like the long range golfing for indoors. You couldn't get that set up in your apartment.
With like the sensor that tells you how far it goes. That'd be incredible.
Yeah. We'll talk to the people at the Props Network, see if we can get we need a virtual kicking setup so Steve could train. We've pivoted the podcast. We're now trying to get him a job as an NFL kicker. And he's funny enough to do it.
Yeah, apparently. That's all it takes. There was some sad news. Former Seahawks quarterback Tavares Jackson died in a car accident on Sunday. He was possibly best known for his coin flipping abilities. Always incredible to see him. I think he went 18 of 20 in the Seahawks 2016 season. Incredible. It sucks. It's super sad.
Yeah, and he was renowned as a great culture guy. That's why he stuck around Seattle. That's why he became a quarterback's coach on the D1 level. So we mourned his loss. If any Vikings fans or Seahawks fans are out there, my heart goes out to you, and thoughts and prayers to Tavares' family.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It was surprising to hear that he hit a target, but aside from that,
we're gonna move on now to some stupider news.
There is some breaking news actually that isn't in the outline.
Did it just happen?
Rumors are heating up of an Odell Beckham trade to Minnesota. It may or may not happen.
I saw this. So there's some reporter in New York who broke that news this morning, and then Adam Schefter went on a podcast or a show and kind of debunked it. He said that there were no real thoughts of the Browns doing that. But I mean, who knows? If it's out there in the ether, it's definitely, there could be a possibility.
Yeah, and we saw the Vikings really clean up on the draft capital in the Stephon Diggs trade.
Yep.
And, I think the offer is for a second and fourth. So
it's not bad. I think with this draft class though, why do that? Like, why not just draft a wide receiver in the second? You can probably get someone with less. I mean, I'm kind of an Odell guy. I don't really like all the hate that he gets from the media, but why not get someone in the second who you're going to pay a lot less and who has less like drama around him?
Well, I see it as I think the Vikings are in total win now mode. I think they have
Yeah.
3 early round picks, and I think they need to replace some starters on defense. Plus, they have an amazing defensive coach. The Odell Beckham package I'm seeing is for next year's second rounder and next year's fourth
Oh,
rounder.
okay.
So they'd still be able to plug in all those holes on defense. And isn't Odell Beckham just a better version of Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
More athletic, he can break those slants for 90 yards,
Yeah.
and I could see that really being a wonderful team moving forward. Like, they're an outside, if they are able to make all these moves happen, I think Mike Zimmer is going to take advantage before the window closes.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I'm hoping that there are a lot of trades this draft, but I do think it'll be harder for teams to trade considering that all the like team personnel are going to be at their homes, like with their home phones. I don't know if people are going to be able to call and make these like 3-team trades or these big jumping from 8 to 3. Like, I don't know if a team's going to jump to the 3rd spot in the draft like people are projecting, but we'll talk about that later.
They better. Yeah, you're not going to see any players. The level of player trades are going to be underwhelming, I think, just because teams can't perform physicals. It's
Right.
why so many great free agents are still sitting on the shelves. And it is funny. You see the guys who are still in trade rumors. It's just like it's Odell and it's Desmond King from the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Todd Gurley is going to wear number 21 for the Falcons. There was like some weird Twitter stuff that people thought that Deion Sanders was upset about it. I guess he was giving Todd Gurley trouble, but it ended up being a joke.
Yeah, and it became like something Falcons fans were upset about. Meanwhile, the guys were just laughing about it.
Yeah.
And sure, Deion wore 21. He had some good years there, but it's not. Who remembers Deion Sanders as a Falcon?
He was all over the place. Yeah.
It's Cowboy, 49er, Atlanta Brave, Atlanta Falcon in my book.
I'm excited to see Gurley.
And I think the NFL, like Illuminati, they want to see Todd Gurley do well. Him having a nice second chapter to his career, it changes the narrative on running backs. He's been regarded as a guy, so he's like already in everywhere. So, hey, take that 21, take a little bit of that Deion shine. If you need it, go get it. And you know what? We've been talking about the Falcons numbers for 2 weeks now. So props to them for staying in the news cycle. Last week they changed their font. This week we're angry about Todd Gurley taking a number.
Yeah.
What's it going to be next week?
I couldn't tell you. I'm tired of talking about them. That's the thing about this news cycle right now is that there is nothing else to talk about, and it sucks. Check this out, though. This was interesting. I found this. Ted Karras, the Dolphins center, is studying for his 2nd master's degree, and he wants to eventually have 6 master's degrees.
Okay, so his 2nd master's is going to be in financial management.
Makes sense.
But his first master's was in recreation, sports, and tourism. What do you use that degree for? Is that what a Dave & Buster's manager gets?
His next master's he wants to get is astronomy.
Sure, you have some master's degrees. I think the news story here is that someone can have 6 master's degrees and you still don't have to value their education.
Right. What we have here is a man with too much money who, for whatever reason, instead of buying cars and buying nice houses, is spending all of his money on
he's buying
weird
classes.
Education. There was another new jersey revealed this week. The Browns debuted their new uniforms today on Wednesday, and I like them.
Yeah, they listened to me. They took their name off the chest.
Yeah.
There's no quicker way to a last place divisional chest than finish them by putting your name out there.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is, but it is. So the Browns, I feel like I've seen that uniform before. The Colts, they also really revealed a new uniform. They slightly changed the font, and they have a new secondary logo that I think we're opposed on.
It sucks. But at least it's just their secondary logo, you know?
I'm a sucker. Any logo that puts the outline of the state in a letter, I think it's great.
Really?
The silhouette of Indiana makes the C. You don't think that's a cool, classic look?
No, because it makes the C just look like someone with like a stroke that was having a stroke drew it. It's like it just looks like it's very shaky.
Yeah,
But I get it. I understand the idea. It just doesn't look good.
and I do think I would love to see a version of the secondary logo where it's the silhouette of the moving trucks they got to steal the team from Baltimore to make the C. Can we have a C that's the silhouette of Peyton Manning's forehead? The options are unlimited.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dak and Zeke
Are the two coolest players in the NFL.
I can't
Dallas
believe
Cowboys
this.
are put on earth to be rad as hell and break the rules.
What do they think? Like they were at a party in Texas and someone took pictures and filmed them at the party. If you're going to break the rules this severely and you're a huge NFL star, tell people not to take pictures of you.
Yeah, but look at how far Cowboys stars have come in just 25 short years. During the Irvin, Emmitt Smith era, the Cowboys had a house filled with cocaine and prostitutes, and they were stabbing each other in the neck with scissors. Now, they just want to spend time together so much they ignore health recommendations.
Yeah.
It's signs of togetherness. We've seen the team culture change for the better. And Dallas, I don't think they'll be good, but I do have a soft spot for this talented roster.
I think Dak is the problem because last week he got in trouble for training with Dez. People got on him about that. And then he just didn't listen, doesn't care apparently, and went to a party.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like, you know what? I better involve the current players rather than the former ones. So
I'm not
he's
allowed to
being
hang out with Dez
inclusive.
anymore. God, it's so stupid. And the Cowboys are, despite what like I wish was the case, they are America's team. They have a ton of fans, a lot of young fans. So, you know, a bunch of teenagers are seeing their heroes go to a party in the midst of a pandemic. It sucks.
Yeah, but they're NFL stars. They're supposed to be cooler than us. Like, I don't want to see Trey Young like shooting laundry into his hamper. I want to see Dak and Dez breaking quarantine because they can and should. He's Ezekiel Elliott. He doesn't take our advice on how to wear a shirt.
That's true.
Like, you think he's going to take quarantine advice?
He plays by his own rules. That is very true. All right.
Let's get into the important things that we prepared. Before we do you want to? Jay Glazer says he's breaking big news tonight, Wednesday night. The quote is, "I'm breaking big news on Fox Football Now. I mean, big national news. I'm not kidding around." Yeah. What do you think that news is?
So we're recording this Wednesday afternoon. He'll break the news Wednesday night. By the time you listen to this, it'll be Thursday morning. So I'm going to guess, did this dude find the cure to coronavirus or what? Are we all saved by Jay Glazer?
It could be true. What's the biggest story the NFL could break right now?
No season, or there is a season and it's confirmed.
Yeah, I think he's going to confirm a season being played in quarantine.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like no fans. Everybody plays in one stadium maybe.
Yeah, I think you could see Las Vegas get reappropriated. I know they've been bandied about for the NBA, but it's possible to close these campuses off. And we need something to watch on television. We need something to gamble on. And please bring back the NFL. It'll be
please,
perfect.
Jay Glazer, make a good announcement tonight.
And you have a good call actually. You said to bet the Chiefs 6-1 for the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. I took that out of the outline, but they're bringing back 20 of 22 starters next year. There's going to be like virtually no training camp, I'm pretty sure, unless things really start ramping up in the next couple months. why not bet on the team that won it last year that doesn't have to reteach scheme and everything to new players?
Yeah, roster cohesion, coach, quarterback. Those are three of the biggest factors in football. They're all just incredible at Kansas City. So yeah, put my money down. Take my $1,200, throw it there. Bring me 7,600 U.S. government. Let's do it. So the NFL draft is going to be a shit show. It's all going to be done online. Have you seen a picture of a NFL GM prepping their draft?
Yeah, they like are the least computer literate people on earth. It's a bunch of like 50 and 60-year-old dudes who just have never used a laptop before, it seems like.
Yeah. A buddy of mine just sent me a picture of Dave Gettleman, and the picture looks like it's from 2002. He's still going through stacks of paper. It's just someone in like a giant sweater sitting in their den on the laptop. It looks like your friend's dad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a mess. Roger Goodell will be announcing all of the picks in the first round from his basement in New York. Don't know if he's going to have like a professional lighting setup or anything, or if it's just going to straight up be him like in a basement announcing picks.
And why'd they let us know it's in the basement?
Yeah, I don't know why that detail
they really
needed
included
to be said.
Yeah. They want to know. They want us to know it's in the basement. I just kept thinking about Zodiac, where I got suspicious of someone for having a basement, and I feel the same way about Roger Goodell. He may be the Zodiac killer.
I wouldn't put it past him. During each pick, apparently, a virtual montage of 15 fans of the team on the clock will be the backdrop behind Goodell, and they'll be reacting live to the picks.
How have I not been asked for this?
I know. Who are the lucky fans?
Yeah, how do you choose this? You think I would know someone in the Lions community? It's not that big, and there's going to be that's going to last over under 5 picks.
Yeah, before either a technical issue or before the fans just start like flashing the camera or flicking it off. Yeah,
flicking off. Amazing. Roger Goodell will get flipped off at least 3 times.
Yeah,
it's going to be wonderful.
I cannot wait. There's going to be a national anthem performed before the start of the first round.
And if I were to be at home and hear someone through the next apartment singing the national anthem, I would be very concerned. Like, this is the song you sing while quarantined.
It's just
did they have the national anthem in previous drafts?
I don't think so. I watch every draft and I don't remember there being someone singing the national anthem before it.
I know. I'm out here. I'm helping my in-laws move, and they want to move next Friday, so I did have to move it so I could watch the draft.
Oh, nice.
And they're like, Joel, what do you have to do? And I'm like, there's no way you will understand this.
Yeah, it's the only sporting event for the next 5 months, probably.
Yeah, this has given me, the Lions having the 3rd pick has given me anxiety since December 31st.
Yeah.
And so I just need to know how exactly I'll be suffering for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Will it be Derek Brown? Will it be Jeffrey Okudah? Let's stay put at 3 and take Derek Brown, huh, Detroit?
Is that what you want?
No, I want Okudah with a trade down, but
okay.
They're going to mess it up. The entire draft is leveraged around the Lions in this pressure spot.
It's true. Yeah.
No, they're going to mess it up. And you see all the other teams are trying to sink to his stock right now.
Yeah.
And that's just the Lions are doing nothing to combat it. That 3rd pick is losing value by the day with no pushback from Bob Quinn in the Lions front office.
I'm stoked. This year, the Rams don't have a first-round pick. They didn't have one last year either, and I enjoyed the draft so much last year, not having to stress about the Rams making a poor choice. So this year, I'm just going to sit back and chill.
Yeah, the most stressful thing will be getting drafted, because the NFL, they spent draftees a 4-page memo on what to wear, what to eat, what to drink. If you got to drink Pepsi, Mountain Dew, bubbly, Gatorade. You got to eat Cheetos, Doritos, Tostitos. You got to eat Mars candy, Skittles, Snickers, M&Ms. If you eat a Twix on camera, you'll be fined $50,000.
What?
Yeah.
The player gets fined $50,000 if they eat something that's not an approved An approved brand?
Yeah, they will be struggled. Like in NFL hasn't had this potential to be punished for eating candy like this since Scott Mitchell was on The Biggest Loser. That's what we called him when he was on Center Detroit. And the guys, they're able to do marketing. Before this quarantine, they were able to set up their own marketing deals. Like in 2015, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota from the new reality show, number one for number one. They promoted Beats by Dre. In 2017, Charles Harris, he got drafted by the Dolphins, and he had a Jack Link Sasquatch from the beef jerky commercial in the background. And the NFL does not have an endorsement with Jack Link's.
How did Charles Harris get that?
They went down the line.
Yeah,
they found someone who was willing to do it.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's going to be – that sucks. And there's also – you cannot have more than 6 people in the shot when you get drafted.
Yeah, and I did notice the NFL gets called a conservative company, and you can tell why from their wording. Their clothing is also expected to be clean, free of liberal or hate speech. That's fine, but why is liberal before hate speech? You would rather have someone have a shirt with a slur on it than wear a Liz Warren campaign T-shirt? I don't know about that.
Also, they cannot make a political statement with their clothes.
So and you're not allowed to reference alcohol, drugs, or gambling. So
what? Yeah, just wear a plain white shirt.
So they're allowed to, the NFL players aren't allowed to reference drugs. Meanwhile, they can show a gas mask photo of Laramie Tunsil 1,000 times.
Over and over for 30 minutes straight. Yeah.
It's just the hypocrisy. You want to get in line and you have to play by the rules.
Yeah. I can't wait.
If you get through that, it's going to be a fun draft.
It's going to be great.
Mel Kiper says this is the best wide receiver class ever.
Yeah.
And you had this in your notes. He projects 33 receivers with grades inside the first 4 rounds.
That's so insane. And a lot of these mocks I've been looking at have 7 wide receivers taken just in the first round. The over-under on DraftKings is 5.5.
And it's minus 250. So they think it's going to be 7, 8. And, a team, that's why it is kind of crazy that the Vikings may do this move for Odell.
Yeah.
But, do you have a favorite receiver?
I do. I actually kind of have a sleeper, not really a sleeper. He'll probably get picked at the end of the first, early second, depending on how many wide receivers get taken. I really like Denzel Mims out of Baylor. Have you watched any highlights of this dude?
Yeah, I saw him get mocked to Detroit at number 37 in a draft. So
that would be sick for you guys because he is incredible.
Yeah, great size. He is kind of like another Kenny Golladay.
He's a little smaller and way faster than Kenny Golladay. I think he's 6'3", and Kenny Golladay is 6'5".
Yeah, but 6'3", 215. That's a nice.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
If he still has great speed at that frame,
he runs a 4.38 40.
Okay, so that guy's going in round 1.
You would think so, but for some reason, people have him as the 5th or the 6th best wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think, it means a lot to me that Jerry Jeudy was the number 1 in that Alabama receivers room. If you do that, I don't know what else you have to prove.
Yeah. Who's your favorite wide receiver in the draft?
I think Jerry Jeudy. I watch a lot of Alabama football. He was that number 1, and now, are we going to take Henry Ruggs over him? Am I going to talk myself into CeeDee Lamb?
Right.
The guy's just that typical number 1 receiver that Alabama has a tendency to produce.
Right. Yeah. I think every team who drafts a wide receiver in the first round has a chance at getting just a breakout weapon. It'll be fun.
But and it might be with the bad offseason, we will, a year from now, we will probably look back and be that receiver class was overrated because it's probably going to take a little time to incorporate these guys.
Especially with no training camp, no rookie OTAs, possibly. So we'll see. Who do you think? So in the first round, who do you think is the best player that is not going to get taken?
The best player? Well, I think the guy with the highest upside, and he's kind of skyrocketing right now, is Jalen Hurts from Alabama, then Oklahoma. He's testing well. He's won in 2 different systems, has years of prep with Saban under his belt. And I think his game kind of mirrors the way offenses go.
Yeah. What quarterback number is he projected to go? Like, is he going to be like the 5th guy off the board?
5th or 6th. He's neck and neck with Jake Fromm right now.
Okay.
But a lot of the guys, they are very polarizing. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone fell in love with him and took him in the 40s.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say I could see him early second. The guy that I think will be the best non-first day draft pick is Trevon Diggs. Stephon Diggs' brother.
Ooh, talented family.
I know.
Yeah, we've given a lot of praise to the Diggs family now. If they didn't turn it off when we said their other son wasn't as good as Odell, hopefully they're still listening.
Yeah, because listen to this. 6'1", 205. He used to play wide receiver like his brother. He's
excellent ball skills.
Excellent ball skills. He just switched over to corner a couple of years ago. I think he played his freshman year as a wide receiver and then transitioned and played the last 2 years as corner. He last year in press coverage, he's a press corner. He's really good in press. 33 targets against him, only 9 catches, 3 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and a 23 quarterback rating.
Yeah, and he's going against SEC competition.
Exactly.
Someone whose team is going to take Jeffrey Okudah, I'm a little worried about the level of receiver competition in the Big Ten. So having a guy with those SEC reps, they do a lot to quell the nerves.
Yeah, and for some reason, he's projected to fall to the 3rd round, 2nd or 3rd round. It doesn't make any sense.
But, as fans, we don't really appreciate how high a 3rd round pick is. 3rd round, your team's still kind of banking on you to be an effective starter.
Right.
It's just different needs, different body types that franchises value more.
Yeah.
So if you were getting drafted, what would you make as your Zoom background?
So in this world, the draftee gets on Zoom and they put on a hat or something.
Yeah, how do they have the hats there? Do they each get 32 hats?
That would rule. That's a good way to make some money.
Yeah, and it doesn't say anything in that guideline about. There's nothing about being pranked, like putting on the hat of a different team. Yep, I've been traded. You'd get blackballed from the league just for showing a hint of reverie.
Yeah, I think as my Zoom background, I would have Randy Moss doing the fake moon touchdown celebration.
Who would be offended when you're drafted?
Yeah, just so everyone can think it's a disgrace and be really offended.
Yeah, I would have a little Roger Goodell at the podium, so I'd just turn around and give him a hug.
That's nice.
And that'd be nice. It'd be a sweet moment. He'd see that I'm embracing him. Why can't they get the Michael Jackson hologram for Roger Goodell? Make it like Star Wars. Roger Goodell shows up in your house, tells you it's time to get to work.
Yeah.
Help me, Jeff Okudah. You're my only hope.
I just feel like this draft is going to be such a low quality production where it's just going to did you watch the horse tournament on ESPN?
I did not watch the horse tournament, and
it was total dog shit. It was the worst production of anything I've ever seen.
Who won it? Was it Paul Pierce?
I don't even know. All I watched was the Trey Young, Chauncey Billups round, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, I did look at the betting lines extensively. I thought there was good value in the WNBA there as the long shots. So I thought I'd be progressive and back one of those, but it didn't turn out.
I just don't have high hopes for this draft quality being that good. But I'm still gonna love it.
Is there a top 10 player you think will be a bust?
So this is maybe a little controversial. I don't think Justin Herbert is gonna be what everyone thinks he's gonna be. And I think Miami might take him over Tua. There's some talks that they like him better than Tua, and I don't think he's gonna be that great.
Yeah, and he's kind of the typical prospect that someone falls in love with every year.
Exactly.
Good size, big arm.
Yep.
And he did really impress me at Oregon, but there's some troubling stats. Like someone
Yeah.
broke down all his college throws and 18% of them weren't on target whatsoever. You look at the other prospects, Burrow, Tua, Jordan Love, that number's around 2-3%.
Yeah.
So 18 is pretty high there. And like it happens every year.
Yeah. It happens every single year.
Teams fall in love with a quarterback over 6'4", Daniel Jones, Blake
Josh
Bortles,
Allen.
Blaine Gabbert. Like it always happens.
Yep.
Well, Josh Allen, he's technically a running back, so it doesn't matter.
I also looked at some of the Oregon QBs that have been drafted in the first round in the last 25 years. Here's the 4 players who have been drafted in the first round for the quarterbacks: Marcus Mariota, Joey Harrington, and Achilles Smith.
Yeah, so the whole state of Oregon, it can't produce quarterbacks.
No.
I know Achilles Smith. Was he Oregon State? He was Oregon?
He was Oregon.
Oh, so yeah, it's just like you have the leg up to play in a pretty weak Pac-10 and a good offense.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That doesn't translate.
So I remember watching him play against Wisconsin last year, which was one of their biggest games of the season. And he just didn't show up because Wisconsin had a great defense. He threw 138 yards and an interception, and they lost the game. And, he put up great stats against these other teams that weren't great competition. But when you put him up against Wisconsin or even like the Utah game he played last year, he just didn't really show up. And he had a lot of missed throws because they actually were able to like collapse the pocket on him and he panicked. I just think that he's a great, he has a lot of potential. Obviously, if you work with him, he'll be good. He's just not ready right now. So if the Dolphins were to take him and want to throw him in the middle of the season, I don't know that that's a great idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I did watch that Utah game. I have made money betting on Justin Herbert in the past. So I definitely see him faking. And let me I'm sorry, I got to correct you. I bet on him in the Rose Bowl. Oregon won that game 28-27 over Wisconsin.
Oh, they won?
They won. And that Utah performance was pretty good. Like that's why his draft stock is what it is. He has the tools, but he kind of has the big game pedigree at this point. And, he kind of projects as another Jameis to me, like a guy who has all the tools, but is still just too inaccurate. The guy I hate is Mekhi Becton. Great size. What a specimen. And then doesn't really know how to play the position that well. He played at Louisville, so I don't think, I don't think he's been given the standard of coaching. And I think drafting the biggest offensive lineman is a pretty shaky proposition. Like Aaron Gibson from Wisconsin was a notable bust. So these guys, they're too big.
Oh my gosh. He's 369 pounds?
369 pounds. And like you get these quicker defensive ends. And I think they'll just be able to get around him. And
That's wild.
And I kind of included Becton because I kind of imagine him to go to a bad situation. I expect the New York Giants to take him 4th overall, actually.
Really? You think he'll be the first offensive lineman off the board?
I think he will be. And I think some of these franchises who we don't trust are going to be ones to watch.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Before we get into the prop bets, will you just do a Marry, Fuck, Kill for me?
I'll always do that.
These are Lions trade down offers that I think are there.
Okay.
So we have 5 and 26 from Miami for number 3. We have 6 and 37 from the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
And then we have 9 and 20 from Jacksonville.
Okay. So really what it comes down to with Marry, Fuck, Kill is, are you into love? Are you into lust? Or are you a murderer?
So or are we talking about Jordan Love?
Yeah. Top priority for me is romance. I'm a romantic. I'm a big lover. So the pick that I would marry, which is the highest form of praise I could give, would be 5 and 26 from Miami, just because at 5 you can still grab Okudah, and 26 is a pretty solid pick to have. For fucking a pick that I'd love, or a trade that I'd love to fuck, would be 9 and 20 from Jacksonville. It's a sexy one. The numbers are small, and as a man, certain things you like big, other things you like small. And it's small just in the right places. So 9 and 20 from Jacksonville, I could definitely lay down and do some good fucking on. The trade I'd like to kill is 6 and 37 from the Chargers. I don't know why you would trade for a second round pick included when you have 2 options to get 2 firsts. So I'd kill that trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not up to us, but I'm happy with any of them. I'm talking myself into that Chargers one just because, like, I don't know. The others seem like they might be a little bit too much value. Maybe that's me being hopeful, but 9 and 20 from Jacksonville makes sense. They need to get one of these. There's 4 great quarterback prospects in the next 2 drafts. Why are they a franchise if they don't get one of them?
Yeah.
So get your guy Tua now. You don't have to worry about tanking for Trevor Lawrence next year.
Mm-hmm.
Move forward. So I'll do marry Jacksonville, fuck Miami. We'll kill the Chargers pick, even though I think that's what we're going to end up getting.
That's the most likely one, probably. Yeah.
And you had me look at the DraftKings draft lines, and if you look closely at them, they tell the story of the draft.
Yeah. Oh, they know what's going to happen, basically.
So they're projecting that it is Burrow, Young, a Lions trade down. And you can look at this by Chase Young being drafted 2nd overall is minus 1,200.
Yeah.
You can't make any money on it.
Burrow is like minus 10,000. That one's the most obvious, of course.
Yeah, and Okudah, everything links him to Detroit, but the over-under on his draft position is 4.5.
Right. Which is interesting because he could still go 4 if the Lions trade out.
Yeah, but we know the Giants are going to do something stupid, and they've committed money to Ray Bradbury in the cornerback position. So
and they need an offensive lineman. Yeah, that's true. What would you go? Would you go over under 4.5? Which one?
I'll go over as an optimist.
I think so too. Especially because there's been so much talk of the Lions trading down, and there's been talk of possibly 3 quarterbacks going in the top 5 picks with Herbert, Tua, and Burrow. I think it's a pretty safe play to take the over there. But again, if there's not a lot of trades, it could just fall right into place where Okudah just goes to the Lions.
Yeah, so one long shot I like, so looking at the board, is I like the Cowboys to draft offense plus 305. Travis Frederick, Pro Bowl center, retired this offseason. Meanwhile, Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, generation, like best center prospect since Frank Ragnow, and he's just sitting there. Put that in, plus 305. And then you see the Miami odds of drafting offense are minus 715.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
I guess they just assume they're taking a quarterback.
Yeah, they're locked in. They're not buying. Like Vegas on these lines, they see through all the smoke screens.
Right.
And it's clear that Tampa and Cleveland, they're both going to take offensive linemen. They both have quarterbacks they need to protect. Tom Brady, you're going to take an offensive tackle there.
Here's the thing with some of these other teams, though. They have offense or defense as the first pick odds on DraftKings. They have teams like the 49ers, who are a very balanced team. Offense minus 200, defense plus 163. They're drafting at 13. So much stuff can happen before the 13th pick. They could also trade down. You just don't know who's going to be on the board at that point. So I think like after pick 10, is it such a terrible idea to just go through and take the best odds for the rest of the first round? Like if the Cowboys don't pick until 17. And like we just mentioned, they have a plus 305 offense as their first pick.
Which is one of the better odds you can get on any team's like drafting of specific position group.
Yeah, and by 17, there's going to be a player that slips through the cracks that's high on the Cowboys board. It's probably an offensive lineman or a whatever. That's great odds for something like that late in the draft.
Again, other things that popped out to me, just for my own sake, I do like the under on Isaiah Simmons, 6.5. I
Okay.
would love to see him go to Los Angeles and play next to Derwin James.
I
Like,
think that's the most likely thing right now. Yeah.
yeah, and then that the Chargers have something like, oh, there's this rare specimen of player that is not seen in the NFL. We have two of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a matchup nightmare. You have these guys who can play linebacker, safety, cornerback in really well at all positions. Like they would be able to do so much with their defense, probably looking at the best defense in the league if they end up with him.
Yeah.
I love the Tua under 4.5 plus 180.
That's kind of crazy. But again, there's talk that he's not the second quarterback taken.
Yeah, but the NFL draft, we're just a few weeks out, but we've been looking at this for multiple years. We've had all this dialogue about Tua being graded one of the greatest quarterback prospects ever. We've seen him perform on the biggest stage, and this was always the Tua draft. So
Yeah.
you're going to float some stories 2 weeks before, and he's going to be devalued out of the top 5. I don't see that happening.
I agree. I like it. But there's also a Justin Herbert under 5.5 at plus 127, which I kind of also like. I'm leaning towards maybe 3 quarterbacks go in the first 5 picks.
Yeah, and you know, if the Chargers make that trade with the Lions, it's on the table.
Yeah.
You have Burrow 1. And remember, I am going to win that $5 bet with the guy I made in line at the Fiesta Bowl. And then you have 2 at 3 to whoever buys the pick. Then Herbert 5 to Miami.
Yeah. Very that's very possible.
I do think you have free money in this. It's Josh Jones under 28.5. That's minus 152. He's an offensive tackle with a great pedigree. I think that's free money right there.
Another offensive line thing that could possibly be free money, although you might disagree with this when we talked about earlier. I think Jedrick Wills is the first offensive lineman drafted at plus 200. And then if you want to hedge, they have Wirfs at plus 120. And those seem to be the consensus top 2 offensive linemen. But now that you brought up the big boy, maybe the Giants do pick him before they pick Wirfs or Wills.
Yeah, and we've seen Dave Gettleman draft before. He values his own draft board over the consensus. He picked Daniel Jones so high.
Yeah.
So if he's higher on Becton, I think he's going to take him.
Interesting.
And then there's good value in Jordan Love being the 3rd QB drafted at plus 300. Probably won't hit, but I do like Grant Delpit, first safety picked, plus 275. That guy was awesome. One of the insane ball skills. Really enjoyed watching him at LSU, and I think he's going to translate at the next level.
This Derek Brown to Lions plus 1,400 one is interesting. Are you actually going to, if you can find it, will you put money on that?
I'll put $10 on it for sure, because the Lions have been linked with Derek Brown since the Senior Bowl. They spent the whole week coaching him. They fell in love with him. And if they trade back, picking he's the highest floor player of anyone in the top 10.
Totally.
He's going to be effective at the next level. And, 1,400, it's there. I think the concerns about Akuta's competition could weigh on them. And they have Desmond Trufant, who's qualified to play CB1. So
yeah, it's true. Derek Brown's under is 9.5 at minus 182. I think that's a gimme as well.
Yeah, and if the draft goes chalk, I don't see Jacksonville passing on him either.
No. Yeah.
So I like that, and I do like the odds for the top 3 picks being Burrow, Chase Young, and Tua plus 325.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Juicy odds.
And we'll talk a lot more about the draft next week. Did you find a pool that we can enter mock drafts in?
I did. Listener Rich Kingston, he runs a lot of really fun football pools. He runs a 17-team gauntlet league that you can maybe get in on, but he does a first-round draft pool every year. Whoever gets the most picks right wins the pool.
Nice. So we're entering that. We should do that.
Yeah, we'll each enter that, and let's have a little competition between us.
Yeah.
Maybe the loser has to pick up a cameo from a B-list football player.
Yeah, that sounds great.
About the show.
That's perfect.
$25 limit.
That's perfect.
I would do a little bit more because Ryan Leaf is $50, but whatever.
That is a perfect idea. Yeah. Let's make our picks next week. So next week we'll kind of devote to a mock. We'll talk a little bit more about these props if we find any more good ones, but we're going to be making our first round picks next week. And guess what? We reached our Twitter follower goal. We have 10 followers on Twitter.
We did it.
We did
Big
it.
10.
The Big
Thank
10.
you guys so much. Let's make it 15 next week.
15 next week. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, baby steps. By the time football season starts, we'll have 40,000 Twitter followers.
Absolutely. And if we were to do this during the season, we would crush it so hard. We're putting out an entertaining, funny product with nothing to talk about. We talked about the XFL's bankruptcy here. You think we can't go when the season hits? We can go when the season hits.
Can't wait. We need it so bad. Please, Jay Glazer.
And check out the Props Network. We've got a lot of great stuff. My quarantine quiz show in action. It came out on Monday.
Nice.
That's a fun little project. We have booked different talent. We pick games for them based on their favorite teams.
Cool.
And then they play for cash prizes.
Heck yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, go to the Props Network YouTube channel. Hit subscribe there too. Let's get that number up to 40,000 subscribers by the football season. Easy. All right, guys, that's it for this week. We'll catch you next week. See you then.
Go Lions.